Hi guys, in this video we'll be covering nobles and what they'll do. I've divided the video into chapters so you can easily skip to a part of the video if you want to know about a specific noble. Let's start off with the first noble you will get, your expedition leader. The job of the expedition leader is basically just a diplomatic therapist for your dwarves. They get to console or simply listen to complaints of unhappy dwarves, and when you get a foreign diplomat visiting, it's his or her job to entertain them. This is also why they benefit from the social skills like consoler or comedian. Apart from all this chit-chatting, they are also responsible for appointing new nobles, so it's important to always have an expedition leader. Once you get more dwarves in your fortress, 50 that is, your fortress will elect a mayor. This is a social popularity contest, and since our expedition leader was talking to everyone, they are most likely to be elected. Once every year, they will elect a new dwarf depending on the current social status. The job of a mayor stays the same, apart from him demanding more from you to do it. A mayor requires a decent office, decent quarters, and a decent dining room. They demand certain types of furniture in the rooms, like chest and armor stands, to stay happy. Apart from all that, they can also mandate the production of certain goods. Complying will give them happy thoughts, and if you don't, he will receive negative thoughts and will order punishment of whoever he considers responsible. So the fate of your dwarves is now in the hands of your mayor. One thing to note is that the mayor still holds the sole power to elect other nobles. So if, let's say, your mayor had a little accident because they demanded too many golden statues, you are unable to assign another noble until another mayor is elected. This will happen at the end of the season your current mayor died. Let's talk about room requirements before we continue. Some nobles will require a certain quality of room, for example, a decent dining room or a royal throne room. What this exactly means is that the value of the office and the items in it have to be above a certain value to satisfy the needs of your noble. You can up the value of a room by adding high value furniture and engraving the room. I usually go for a 3-room layout for my nobles: a office, a bedroom, and a dining room. Overlapping zones will decrease the value of both rooms, so try to avoid this if possible. Add a couple of statues and some cabinets and you will do just fine. Now, let's cover some more useful nobles like the broker, manager, and bookkeeper. A broker is the noble responsible for trade and commerce in your fort. Once merchants have arrived, you can request your broker to go to the trade depot to trade with them. We don't need a broker to trade, but having a dwarf with the right skills can get much better offers than an improficient trader. The beneficial skills are Judge of Intent, Appraiser, and Negotiator. Once you have assigned a broker, you will also be able to see how much wealth you have created, imported, and exported. This can be done by hovering over your fortress name in the top left corner. Another benefit from a broker is that he requires no rooms or furniture, so you can appoint him as soon as you start a new fort. Next is the bookkeeper, another very useful dwarf to have since they will make sure your stocks are correct. Once you select the bookkeeper, we will have 5 accuracy levels to pick from, where 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. I would recommend to leave this at 5, since the bookkeeper may take a while to complete the stock list, but once he has achieved the full list, he just needs to maintain it, which doesn't take up that much time. Bookkeepers require a meager office, which could just be a chair in a single tile room. Having correct stock numbers is very important, since you want to know how much food and drink is left. Check your stock by pressing K or pressing stock at the top of the screen. The last crucial noble we will discuss will be the manager. The manager will make your life as fortress manager a lot easier, since they are kind of your assistant. The manager enables the order screen in which you can create orders for specific items. The manager will then divide these orders to the qualifying workshops. Apart from being able to put in orders one time, you can also add conditions to these, like for example, brew 20 drinks when the total amount of drinks available is less than 10. With this system, you won't be needing to manage every single part of your fort anymore, since we can just let the manager take care of drinks, barrel production, beds, and all kinds of other stuff. Expect a more in-depth video on this soon. So now that we've taken a look at the business side of the fort, let's go over the justice department. This exists out of a sheriff or captain of the guard and a hammerer. You will probably first start out with a sheriff, who is responsible for punishing and interrogating dwarves who are suspect of a crime. This punishment can either be a jail sentence or, worse, a beating. If you don't have a jail, beatings will be the next viable option. Worse crimes, like murder and sucking blood from sleeping dwarves, will get taken care of by a hammerer, who will chain the suspect and beat him with the closest thing related to a hammer. Both of these nobles are small risks to have if left uncontrolled, since they can literally beat dwarves to death for pushing over a barrel when they were angry, but they are important to have in a big fortress. If you have at least 50 dwarves, your sheriff will be replaced by a captain of the guard, who will take over. The benefits of having a captain of the guard is that it unlocks the Fortress Guard squad in the squad screen, which is basically just a squad full of sheriffs doing justice work. The best way of limiting unnecessary harm to innocent dwarves is by having enough jails available and having weak soldiers in the Fortress Guard. This way, jail time doesn't get downgraded to beatings and your dwarves are less likely to one-shot criminals. There is also the Dungeon Master, which you can appoint once you get your mayor. He is also kind of a part of the justice system. Their purpose is to discover citizens with a bad motive as well as recruiting them for your own benefit. Sadly, in the current version this only adds a bit of flavor and no real functionality. In case you do have some dwarves that have been beaten up by the Justice Department, I would suggest to appoint a Chief Medical Dwarf, which is our next noble. Appointing a Chief Medical Dwarf enables the medical summary on your dwarves. The only beneficial skill of a Chief Medical is the Diagnostician skill. This will increase the speed at which he diagnoses patients. Since Premium has launched, the medical information display has changed a bit. There is no longer a status menu with the overview of all your dwarves. Now you need to wait till they have been diagnosed by a medical dwarf to find out what's wrong with them. I do hope they implement the status menu again, since there's no real point of having a Chief Medical Dwarf at the moment, as far as I can tell. To defend your fortress, we also need some commanders and soldiers. This is where the Militia Commander and Militia Captain come in. These will enable you to have squads of up to 10 dwarves each and be able to train and command them. The Militia Commander will enable you to make the squads, while each squad will have a captain to be managed by. They both count as nobles, but don't demand any specific rooms or mandates. Once you have appointed your Militia Commander, you can create squads using the menu in the bottom right corner. You have the option to immediately assign a captain to a squad, or leave it vacant to appoint later. As far as I can tell, you can make a lot of squads, so if you can fill them, use them. Apart from these two military nobles, we also have a General Noble. He is higher in command than the Militia Commander, but doesn't actively do anything. The only way to get a general is if the Monarch arrives at your fortress, which will be our next noble to discuss. The Monarch is the highest level of noble and can be chosen. The existing Monarch of your civilization arrives as an immigrant from the previous capital. However, one of your fortress residents may become Monarch if the position is vacant, either by inheriting the title or after killing all the other potential sites that could inherit it. The requirements for the Monarch to show up are pretty high. You will need to be a metropolis, which happens when you reach 140 dwarves. Apart from that, you will also need to have 15,000 dwarf bucks worth of architecture, so stuff like engraved walls, statues, etc., and give 5,000 bucks to the dwarven caravan as a gift. Once these have been accomplished, a Monarch can arrive in the next migrant wave. A Monarch is often joined by a group that can exist of some special nobles and a squad of highly trained soldiers. These special nobles can be a general, a trade liaison, or a consort. These all won't really do much except drink your wine and eat your plump helmets. The general, as mentioned before, don't actively do anything apart from requiring a couple of decent rooms and some furniture, so basically being a leech. The same goes for the trade liaison, which was normally the dwarf that came and offered trade agreements, so he is on vacation now as well. The last is a consort, which is just the husband or wife of a higher ranking noble, so just another leech. So, with the presence of the Monarch, the fortress becomes the mountain home of the civilization, the capital of the dwarves. Being the capital isn't all boons and buffs, since you will lose the ability to negotiate trade agreements with the dwarven caravans. Apart from that, the Monarch also has one of the highest requirements when it comes to rooms. They need a royal throne room, a royal bedroom, a royal dining room, and a royal mausoleum, which is a tomb. These rooms on their own are already a big undertaking for some fortress managers, and I haven't even mentioned the furniture requirements. Monarchs can also demand the most out of mandates than any other noble, so be prepared to craft whatever he fancies. This could be wheelbarrows or steel swords. The last noble I will discuss is the messenger. This dwarf could be appointed to try and bring back dwarves from other sites within your civilization. This is another noble I think needs some work in the premium version, as I can't find anything in the world screen that would enable me to do this. And that wraps it up for this guide. I hope you found this video useful and hope to see you next time.